Experienced commissioning managers are getting harder and harder to find. Where do you go as a company to get these expert resources to help you complete your projects?
You're listening to the Industrial Commissioning Association podcast, where we discuss best practices for industrial plant process and energy system commissioning. Get ready to say no to outdated industry norms and say yes to improved project performance. Here's your host, Paul Turner.
So there's a big challenge in the construction industry, and it's going to get even more challenging to find the resources that we need to build the projects. There is an unprecedented amount of project work even now, and in the next several years, by 2040, the construction industry is projected to double. So even with the resource shortages that exist right now, it's going to get a lot worse in the future as there's even more project work to complete. So one of the critical roles when it comes to commissioning is your commissioning project manager. This is the key role for commissioning that must be involved early in projects right at the beginning and participating in planning discussions at the same time that design planning discussions are taking place and that construction planning discussions are taking place. This commissioning project management role is key to planning your project for success in planning all three aspects of your project for design, construction, and commissioning, so the entirety of your project is planned for success. Now, there's some really smart commissioning managers out there. I've worked with some of the best and the brightest and talented minds out there. The commissioning managers that have decades of experience and truly have mastered the craft and art of commissioning. But a lot of these expert commissioning managers are retiring. They may work into their 70s because they love the work so much, but at some point they will be retiring, taking their commissioning project management expertise with them. And due to the project workload that's upon us, it's getting harder and harder to find experienced project managers to lead your project to success. And it's always been challenging for commissioning folks to transition from one project to the other because there's been no standardized approach to commissioning in various industries and even between projects within the same industry. It's always come down to the terminology that's defined in contracts and the experience of the individuals on past projects. I've seen two people speaking on the same project where they're using different terminology, but they're actually talking about the same thing. They have this discussion for several weeks, each week in the weekly progress meeting, and it's leading to lots of confusion because they're using different terminology and they don't quite know what the other one is talking about. And others that maybe aren't as familiar with commissioning certainly don't know what's being talked about. But the confusion persists for several weeks until each realizes that they're talking about the same things. They're just using different terminology to describe the same thing. And the details really matter in commissioning. When we can't have these detailed discussions because the terminology is different, then it can lead to a lot of confusion. There definitely needs to be a standardized approach amongst projects to help resources transition from one project to the other to fill these critical key leadership commissioning roles. The other aspect is training and experience. Where are we going to find all of these commissioning managers to fill these key leadership roles? There definitely seems to be lots of commissioning doers on projects, the ones that are pushing the buttons and performing the testing in the field, but there definitely seems to be less commissioning leaders that understand a proper commissioning process and how to apply those best practices on a project from start to finish. Specialized skill sets in testing are definitely different than the specialized skill sets that are required for commissioning project management. So where are commissioning project managers learning this specialized skill set, and then how are they getting experience on projects to learn and apply best practices for commissioning? In other words, how are companies generating a consistent pipeline of experienced project managers that, one, have the knowledge of what commissioning best practices are, and two, have gained experience applying this knowledge on projects? The pipeline of experienced commissioning managers definitely seems to be getting shorter as more of our industry experts are retiring. A lot of the times, the commissioning process resides within these industry experts' heads. It's not necessarily documented or applied within commissioning software, in that companies have relied on the people to implement their process, and when the people leave the project, then their process goes with them. So how are we going to fill this gap of people that understand the process and have the skills and experience to apply these commissioning best practice processes to projects? There's two things that the Industrial Commissioning Association is working on. The first one is a global commissioning standard. There's several bits and pieces of standards that have existed over the years. There's a standard that may apply to this particular industry, or there's another standard that is used by a large company. It's internal and it's proprietary, but there's no global cohesive commissioning standard to say this is how you do best practices to apply commissioning project management on a project. So that's one thing that we're working to put together. We're assembling a working group of industry experts across the globe from various countries from all of the industrial plant process industries to collaborate and develop this global commissioning standard for industrial plant process and energy system commissioning. This will be the guiding standard that sets the baseline for commissioning best practices to be applied on projects. And this is the commissioning standard that commissioning project managers can use starting right at the beginning of projects to apply best practices for commissioning through all stages of projects. The second aspect that the Industrial Commissioning Association is working on is a certification program to certify the elite 1% of commissioning project management experts to this global commissioning standard. This demonstrates that individuals have the knowledge and understanding about what commissioning best practices are and how to apply them to projects. So the other aspect of this, which is equally as important, is years of experience. So the first thing people need to have is the knowledge of what commissioning project management best practices are, but people also need a demonstrated years of experience applying this standard in the field on projects. So the two aspects of certification are knowledge, that you've passed the exam and are certified to this global commissioning standard, and then achieving the years of experience applying this standard in the field, where there's various levels of certification, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, each representing the years of experience that an individual has. Having commissioning managers certified to this level and ranked by years of experience is going to help companies select the right individual that can help them early in projects for this key commissioning leadership role to coordinate commissioning with design and construction for successful project completion. So these are some initiatives that the Industrial Commissioning Association is working on to help fill this key commissioning leadership role on projects. If your company is interested in participating in this initiative, please reach out and contact us at info@icxa.net, and we can see how you'd like to participate to either of these initiatives. Getting resources on projects is going to be an even bigger challenge in the future, especially with some of these key leadership roles for commissioning project management. And the Industrial Commissioning Association is committed to help bridge this gap and help companies get the right individuals in these roles for better project outcomes. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening. To become a member of the Industrial Commissioning Association, visit icxa.net. Members get access to commissioning standards, procurement specifications, commissioning training and certification, plus many more specialized resources to help you with commissioning of your industrial plant process and energy systems. Visit icxa.net for more information.